Today we're starting PSL number 4, and today's date is Monday, February 1st, 2016. Question number 1 says, find the volume of this cylinder. Use the pi button on your calculator and round to the nearest tenth. And I want to point out that it's important that we're using this pi button on our calculator and that we're rounding to the nearest tenth, because a lot of you who have been practicing in that quiz have noticed that you're getting some of your problems wrong, and it's just by a couple of decimal places. Most of you, it's because you're not using the pi button, you're just using 3.14. So make sure that you're kind of keeping an eye on that this week to see if it helps make a difference in your scores and stuff. So to start this problem out, we need to use the formula to find the volume of a cylinder. And we learned that one last week, and it's volume equals, see if you can guess it yourself first before I write it. It's pi radius squared, which is going to find our base, and then times the height of the cylinder. So we're going to first start out by finding, like I said, this base of our cylinder, so pi r squared. And this is for a radius of 3. So I'm going to substitute a 3, and that's going to be squared. And then I'm going to also substitute in our height. Our height is going to be how tall our cylinder is, so our height is 6. So now we're just going to simplify. I'm going to start by simplifying all the numbers before I start simplifying any of the pi. 3 times 3 squared is going to be 9. And then we can do 9 times 6, which is going to give us 54 pi. So now we're going to take our calculator and we're going to do 54 times the pi button. Pi button. And we're going to round to the nearest tenth. So we get 169.6 cubic centimeters. And that is the answer for number 1. Okay, number 2 says a large box has dimensions of 5 feet by 8 feet by 8 feet. We need to find its volume. So I've drawn a little box here, and it told us that we have dimensions 8 by 8 by 5. So to find the volume of a rectangular prism, all we're going to do is multiply our length times width times height. So this one's going to be pretty straightforward. We're just going to substitute in our length, width, and height. So our length, width, and height are 5, 8, and 8. So you just multiply those 3 numbers together, and you get a total of 320. And that's actually your answer. We just have to put on our unit, which is feet, and because it's volume, it's going to be cubic feet. So 320 cubic feet. The last 2 problems that we're going to work on today, and we're going to actually work on these throughout the whole week, are distributive property. I noticed that on some of the multi-step equations that we've been working on, a lot of you guys have been struggling with distributive property, so the purpose of doing the 3 and 4 on each day this week is to really practice this distributive property. So you can see right here the 5 times quantity x minus 3. We need to distribute. So we're going to distribute 5 to both x and negative 3. And we do that by multiplying. So 5 times x is 5x. And then we also have to do the 5 times negative 3, which is a negative 15. So that equals 45. And now you can shape code. So I have a number term here and a number term here. If it helps, here's our equal sign. So I want to move this negative 15 to the other side, and the way I do that is by adding the inverse. So the opposite is plus 15. So that cancels out. I'm left with 5x equals 45 plus 15, which is 60. So now x is being multiplied by 5, so to undo times 5, we would divide by 5. which reduces down to 12. So x equals 12. And again, the part that I really want to practice this week is this distributive property. Okay, number 4, our last problem, is going to look a lot like the one we just did. Again, we're going to be practicing the distributive property right here. So let's go ahead and do that. So we have negative 7, and we need to multiply it by both terms in here. So negative 7 times x is going to give us negative 7x. And then come back up here, negative 7 times negative 7. A negative times a negative makes a positive, and 7 times 7 is 49. Bring down my 63, and now if you need to, you can shape code. So you can see we have 49 on the left side, which needs to go over to the other side so that it can be put together with 63. It's positive 49, so we're going to do the opposite. The opposite is to subtract 49. So on our right side, we have 63 minus 49. So I'm going to bring down negative 7x equals, and 63 minus 49 is 14. So our final step, we have x being multiplied by negative 7, so to get rid of that we need to divide by negative 7. So we finish off with x is equal to 14 divided by negative 7. Positive divided by negative makes a negative, and 14 divided by 7 is negative 2. And that's your answer. So we'll continue to work on the distributive property and the volume of cylinders and rectangular prisms this week. And hopefully you guys will have a great score on your PSL quiz on Friday, because this stuff is, I think, going to be pretty straightforward and easy for you guys to handle.